Have you ever noticed how many older people rarely talk about their pain? Their knees ache and their back feels stiff. Their sleep is lighter than it used to be, and their energy fades faster throughout the day. Yet when you ask them how they're doing, they smile and say, "I'm fine," or "It's nothing," or simply, "That's just old age," and the conversation ends there. But are they really fine? Or have they simply learned to stop talking about what hurts? As people grow older, something interesting happens. The pain doesn't always increase dramatically, but the willingness to speak about it often decreases. This silence can be confusing, especially for family members who genuinely want to help. To understand it, we need to look deeper than the surface. One major reason older people stop talking about their pain is that they do not want to be a burden. Many of them spent decades being the strong one in the family. They were the providers, the protectors, the problem solvers. They handled bills, made decisions, carried responsibilities, and supported others emotionally and financially. Shifting from that role to one where they need help can feel uncomfortable and even frightening. Admitting pain feels like admitting dependence, and dependence feels like losing dignity. So instead of speaking up, they minimize what they feel. Another reason is habit. Many older adults grew up during difficult times. They may have experienced economic hardship, war, physical labor, or limited access to healthcare. In those years, pain was something you pushed through. You worked even when you were tired. You continued even when something hurt. Complaining was discouraged, and endurance was praised. That mindset becomes part of identity. When you've spent a lifetime ignoring discomfort to survive, it becomes natural to continue doing so, even when it would be healthier to speak up. There's also the experience of not feeling heard. Sometimes older people do try to mention their discomfort. They say their hip hurts, or that they've been feeling dizzy. The response may be well-meaning, but dismissive. "That's normal at your age. Just take some medicine. Everybody feels that way." After hearing these responses enough times, they begin to believe that talking about pain is pointless. If the answer will always be the same, why repeat the conversation? Silence becomes easier than feeling brushed aside. Pain also becomes routine. When discomfort shows up every day, it starts to feel normal. Stiff mornings, slow steps, careful movements, these things blend into daily life. When something happens consistently, the brain categorizes it as background noise. It doesn't mean the pain is small, it means it has become familiar, and familiar pain often goes unspoken. Pride plays a powerful role as well. Many older people remember when they were physically strong. They remember lifting heavy objects, working long hours, solving difficult problems. In their minds, they are still that capable person. Their body may have changed, but their sense of self has not. Talking about pain feels like betraying that identity. It feels like confirming decline. So they protect their self-image by staying quiet. Emotional pain is another layer that rarely gets discussed. Aging often brings loss. The loss of a spouse, siblings, close friends, familiar neighbors. The house that once felt full may now feel quiet. Holidays feel different. Conversations feel shorter. That kind of pain does not show up on medical charts. It sits quietly in the heart. Older people may avoid talking about it because they do not want to make others uncomfortable. They don't want to appear negative or sad, so they say nothing. There's also fear. If they admit that something hurts badly, what might happen next? Will someone suggest they stop driving? Will they be encouraged to move out of their home? Will independence slowly be taken away in the name of safety? For someone who has lived independently for decades, the possibility of losing control over daily decisions is frightening. Staying silent feels safer than triggering changes they're not ready for. Some older adults stay quiet because they do not want their children to worry. Even in their 70s or 80s, Many parents still see themselves as protectors. They want their children to feel secure. They want to remain the stable figure in the family. Saying, "I'm in pain," feels like shifting that balance. It feels like causing stress. So they protect their loved ones by minimizing their own discomfort. Another subtle reason is emotional exhaustion. Talking about pain requires energy. Explaining symptoms, answering questions, attending appointments, repeating the story. It can be draining. Sometimes it feels easier to simply live with the discomfort quietly than to begin a long process of discussion and evaluation. Silence can feel less complicated. There's also the belief that pain is simply part of aging and therefore not worth mentioning. When society constantly repeats that aging equals discomfort, older adults may internalize that message. They may think, "This is just how it is now." If something feels inevitable, there seems little reason to discuss it. Technology and generational gaps can widen the silence as well. Communication styles have changed. Older adults may not feel comfortable expressing vulnerability in the same way younger generations do. They may not use the language of mental health or emotional awareness. They describe feelings briefly and expect others to understand without long explanations. When that understanding does not come, they retreat further into quietness. All of this creates a pattern. Pain becomes private. Discomfort becomes internal. Words become fewer. For families, this silence can be misleading. A parent who says, "I'm fine," may still be struggling daily. A grandparent who insists they're okay may be managing more discomfort than anyone realizes. The key is not to interrogate or force conversations, but to create an environment where honesty feels safe. Gentle questions, patience, and active listening make a difference. Instead of responding immediately with solutions, sometimes it helps to respond with curiosity. "Can you tell me more about that? How long has it felt that way?" Simple follow-up questions show that the conversation matters. For older adults themselves, it may help to remember that speaking about pain is not weakness. It does not erase a lifetime of strength. In fact, acknowledging discomfort can be an act of courage. It allows others to understand, support, and connect more deeply. Strength does not mean silence. Sometimes, strength means honesty. Pain, whether physical or emotional, is part of the human experience at every age. But isolation does not have to be. Sharing even a small part of what you feel can reduce the weight, and listening, truly listening, can reduce it even more. If you are an older adult watching this, consider whether there is something you have been keeping inside. Maybe someone in your life would rather know the truth than hear "I'm fine" again. And if you are caring for someone older, remember that silence does not always mean comfort. Sometimes it simply means they're protecting you. Understanding this quiet pattern brings us closer together. It reminds us that behind calm smiles and short answers, there may be stories untold and pain unspoken. When we approach each other with patience instead of assumptions, we create space for honesty. Because at any age, being heard is healing, and no one, no matter how old, should feel that their pain is too small or too inconvenient to be spoken aloud.